Hey everybody, welcome to the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Gish, Crohn's warrior and IgA nephropathy warrior, and I'm dedicated to sharing the stories of those with IBD. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now let's get to it. Well, hi everyone. My guest today is Natasha Monk, your stoma acceptance queen. She's advocating body acceptance and raising awareness about IBD and ostomies. She's here today to share her 20-year journey with Crohn's disease and endometriosis. Thank you so much for joining me today, Natasha, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's such a pleasure to have you. So you really just hit your 20-year mark battling Crohn's disease.
Yes.
Let's go back to those early days of your journey, and can you start us off by sharing when and how you were first diagnosed?
The Crohn's actually came really sudden, actually, because I was in my summer break from college. I went to cinema with my friend and I had some nachos. You know, like, I call it fake cheese. I had that. And the next day I went home and I was just diarrheaing for, I would say, about a week, I would say. We thought it was just food poisoning, first of all. Then obviously, because it went on for the whole week, Mum took me to the doctors. They said it might be a virus, so he sent me home. So he said to drink more fluids because I was quite ill as a kid, so it used to take me a long time to get over things. So he just thought it was a virus. But obviously, then it went on for like 3-4 weeks. So my mum was like, "No, there's something's wrong." So he took me back to the doctors. And straight away, the doctor sent me for colonoscopy, and then that's when they discovered that I had the Crohn's disease. It was quite quick.
Yeah, they sent you in right away and got the colonoscopy.
Yeah. Because I know some people it can take ages. With me, it was in less than 2 months, which was quite good because I was starting uni in September and I got diagnosed in August.
So what happened at that point? They diagnosed it. Did they start you on treatments at that point?
Yeah. So when they first diagnosed me, I was on Pentasa. I was on 4 tablets twice a day. Yeah.
And how did that help? Was that able to keep you into remission for a while or
Yes. I wouldn't say I was in remission, but at the same time, I wasn't flaring badly. It was quite like a mild flare. And I managed that for quite a few years. So 2014 when I was diagnosed, and I managed that until 2010.
It's amazing how we can go from, like, really bad flare-ups to just kinda mild flare-ups like you're saying, and then we think all of a sudden that that's better, like,
Yeah.
it's mild, but we deal with it.
Because I didn't really know much about the Crohn's then, and no one really explained it. I just knew it was something to do with the gut. So to be honest, I wasn't the best at taking my medication, and I was just concentrating at university then, so I didn't really pay attention to the illness back then.
So, talk to me about what happens next. So, you get through university, you're able to somewhat manage the symptoms, and then how does your journey progress from there?
So in 2010, I was on the pill actually then, and I came off the pill within a week. My Crohn's just flared straight away. I started bleeding from the back passage, like very heavily, like worse than a period. But I'm quite a person that sometimes will gaslight myself to think, oh, it's going to get better. So I should have gone to doctor hospital quicker. But I was bleeding from the back passage, I would say, for about 2 weeks. Then my husband rushed me into the hospital. While I was in there, I ended up passing out in the hospital toilet. All I can remember is hitting my head. And then I woke up. And I remember, because my legs are quite long, used my leg to press the emergency alarm. And I remember everyone, and then all I can remember is everyone shouting my name and putting an oxygen mask in my face. Until now, they don't know why I was bleeding so heavy from my back passage because they couldn't do a colonoscopy because I was so inflamed. So yeah, that's where it started getting worse from then, since 2010.
So, what happened during that hospital visit? Were they able to do anything different?
No, I had to just go. They just put me on steroids because they couldn't see why I was bleeding, because obviously they couldn't do a colonoscopy. So I was just on a lot of steroids then.
Is this about the time when your endometriosis journey came into play?
No, I have my endometriosis journey is only very new. So I was officially diagnosed with endometriosis in 2020, but after reading my medical notes, I realised that they suspected I had it in 2017, but no one told me.
Okay, so let's rewind a little. So you're in the hospital 2010, is that when you passed out in the hospital?
Yeah,
They couldn't really do anything on steroids, couldn't do a colonoscopy, you're so inflamed.
yeah.
What happens from there?
After that, I got sent home on steroids, and I was on and off steroids for years. So I just kept flaring. Eventually, I can't remember exactly what year it was. It might have been 2011 or 2012. I was put on Humira. Then that's an injection you take every 2 weeks. I believe I was taking it. Yeah.
Did that help the symptoms?
No,
Not at all.
that didn't. And when I used to take it, I used to inflame in the area really badly and itch. And I was on that for 2 years, I would say, on and off, but I kept flaring all the time in between.
Did they eventually try something else after that?
I was on Humira and steroids on and off for about a few years. When they realised Humira wasn't working, and that's just before I had my ileostomy. That was in 2014. Yeah, because I was diagnosed in 2003. Sorry, so 2014 was when I had the ileostomy. Sorry, yeah. Sometimes like the journey is so complicated, you forget the dates.
I know,
Yeah,
I've done the same thing in my journey trying to retrace the steps, and it's like, "Was that
yeah,
this year or the next year?"
yeah.
So what was the catalyst for getting that ileostomy? What kinda led up to that?
I was flaring really bad. Like I went into hospital for an outpatient appointment, and my just doctor looked at me and she was like, "No, I can't send you home." I had lost so much weight at that point. I lost about 2 stone, I would say, and I wasn't sleeping. All I was doing is crying basically all the time because I was just constantly feeling sick and fatigue, and I wasn't eating. I barely could eat like a baby plate of food. So when I went into the outpatient appointment, she looked at me and she was like, "No, I'm sending you to the doctors and the hospital." But I was in a different hospital that time for my outpatient. They transferred me to my main hospital. I was in there for about 2 days, and they said that my bowel was so like about to erupt, basically perforate, and then that's when they rushed me in 2 days later for the ileostomy.
And did you have any idea what an ileostomy was going to mean for your life? Had you even considered that before, or was this completely new?
So I did know, yeah. So I did know what it was because I did ask them for it previously, and they told me no, they wanted to try me on Humira first. So I knew what it was. So I wasn't shocked when it did happen, but it was quite quick when it happened. Like 2 days, they were like, "You're having it."
Get in and get it done.
Yeah,
So how did your life change after that surgery? Did it make things better?
I would say it was better than going to the toilet 20 times a day, but I was still having a lot of issues with my ileostomy. First of all, I had a lot of adhesions behind my ileostomy, and I had a narrowing and stoma as well. So I had to have quite a few procedures to stretch the stoma. And then because I had such a big operation with my ileostomy, they didn't want to go in and remove the adhesions. So I was having a lot of pain on my right side of my ileostomy every time it would poo. And then also even though before I had a little bit of Crohn's in my small bowel, it spread even more in my small bowel. So I had to have another operation. That was in 2017 to have some of my small bowel removed. So yeah, it hasn't been easy. And then again, I had my last operation in 2020 to have more of my small bowel removed. So yeah, it's not been great.
So that was just 2020, that wasn't that long ago. In the last 3 years from
My last one, yeah, my last one was 2020. And in that operation as well, 2020, I had to have my adhesions removed behind my small bowel. I had sepsis in my stomach as well, which they had to remove. And then that's when I was diagnosed with endometriosis.
So did that last surgery help to bring the Crohn's under control? Was
Yeah, I've never felt, I've never felt this good since I was even diagnosed. The last 3 years has been amazing. It really has.
Are you on any additional medications?
So I've been on infliximab since 2015, on and off. But I was on 5 milligrams then. But because of the severity of my Crohn's, they've now put me on 10 milligrams, and I think that's what's helping as well. So yeah, that's really helped. That's been my lifesaver. Being on infliximab, it really has.
So your Crohn's kinda came under control after that 2020 surgery,
Yeah,
new medications, but that's also when you were diagnosed with endometriosis.
yeah,
How did those 2 affect your day-to-day life? How did endometriosis fit into that picture?
yeah. So before I was even diagnosed with endometriosis, I had this like big flare in July 2020. I thought I was having a miscarriage, to be honest. The pain I was in, it was that bad. My husband was like, "What's going on?" Like he'd never seen me, even with my Crohn's, he'd never seen me scream the house down like that and roll on the floor crying. So I just assumed all these years that I noticed my period had changed for a while. I would say since 2018, I noticed my period had changed, but it was more heavier. I was having leaks on my clothes like when I was at work, and it was more irregular as well. But I just thought it was my Crohn's affecting it because I didn't really know anything about endometriosis then. It's only after like I've been seeing more people on social media talk about it, especially women who've got IBD as well. So that's how I got to know about endometriosis. But I didn't know anything about it, so I didn't realise that's what it was until obviously I had the operation. They told me that they had to do a laparoscopy and they saw a cyst on my right ovary and it was endometriosis.
What do they do to treat that? Were you able to get relief from, because I know endometriosis can be incredibly painful and
Yeah,
debilitating just the way that Crohn's can be.
yeah, it can be. I think because mine's not that severe, so they say it's about level 1. So July 2021, I had a operation to move my cyst on my left ovary, but because I had so many adhesions still in my pelvis, they couldn't get to it, so they ended up removing the adhesions and not doing the operation. So February last year, I had a scan and they found out I actually have a cyst on my left and right ovary and fibroids. Since then, I've not heard from anyone. That's how bad it is. The treatment, the getting hold of anyone in the NHS thing. I haven't heard from no one at all since then.
That's almost a year.
Yeah, luckily, more than a year. Yeah, because it's February. It was not just in February. This February, it's February before. So it's more than a year. Yeah. Luckily, my endometriosis is not severe like most people's are. Mine only flares when my period starts, or like a few days before I might have some symptoms. But when I have it, it's like it's up and down. Like some months I'll be really bad. I'll be like on the floor crying. I'll be having to take a TENS machine, paracetamol, hot water bottle, all at the same time. And other months it'll be just really mild. It just depends really. Like last month I was in really bad pain, but the month before that I was fine.
Is there a correlation between Crohn's or IBD and endometriosis that you know of?
Not they're not saying that there is, but I've noticed that there's a lot more women who have been diagnosed with both. So I feel like there is, but I'm not a professional, so
Me neither.
what do I know?
Me neither. So what do you do since you're not able to get in to the hospital or see a doctor when the pain is that bad? Do you have any tips or techniques for managing the pain when the endometriosis hits that bad?
Yeah, when it's that bad, normally I'll take my TENS machine, my some strong paracetamol, hot water bottle, and sometimes I'll have a hot bath as well. That's all I can do really. Normally it's the first 3 days that are bad, and after that it settles down.
And does it seem to affect your IBD at all, or does that stay in remission even when the endometriosis flares?
No, so I noticed like maybe I would say about 4 days before my period starts, my bag will produce a lot of water more than normal. Like yesterday, I had that issue yesterday, so I had to take loperamide to try and thicken it up. Because when it gets really watery, it can go down the back of your stoma and irritate your skin. So I noticed that beforehand, but that I've noticed that for years that I used to do that since I first had my stoma.
Let's talk about your stoma and having the ostomy. What are some of the things that you've noticed that you've had to change in your life, your diet? Have you had to adjust what you eat, or how does that kind of play into your life?
Yeah, so I think definitely with ileostomy, you definitely need to change your diet, but it's better than it used to be. Before I had the stoma, I would have times where I wouldn't even want to eat anything because I was so worried about it's going to flare. So I would be eating like toast and that's it, barely. And I could barely eat that because I didn't have the energy to eat. But now it's much better. Like I can eat salads, but not often. If I eat salad, I have to eat it only when I'm at home because it can make my stomach very watery. Sweet corn, I don't eat. I've just recently started eating Bounty because I wasn't eating that coconut for a while as well because that used to block my stoma. So I've started to like reintroduce little bits even years later now. I'm just starting to still introduce stuff. But yeah, it's much better than it was before. Definitely. It's nice to enjoy food again.
That's good. That's good. So, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about is mental health, because I noticed on one of your Instagram posts, you mentioned that your 20-year journey has been mentally and physically draining, a roller coaster of just mental and physical emotions. So, can you talk about your mental health over the years and what's gotten you through the tough times?
Yeah, I feel like mentally for years it's been horrible, and I feel like I was masking it a lot for a long time, and I think because now I've been on mission for the last 3 years, I feel I started addressing it more and realised how much I was masking for so long because I was battling my illness. I just like sort of like put it back in my mind. But yeah, I would have times where I would just sit in the bath and cry and wish I was dead already. I would sit there and wish that Crohn's would kill me because I had enough. Or I would have a leak like 4 times in one night, and I would just sit on the toilet crying my eyes out. And my husband would come in and say like, "What's happening?" And I was telling him, and he'd have to just hug me. It's definitely I would say for all the symptoms. I think the mental health side is probably the worst when it comes to Crohn's, having to deal with. And when you're on, I was on and off steroids a lot of times as well. So steroids can make your emotions go all over the place. And it's really important, like when you're in that state, that you have someone supportive, because even though it's not my husband's fault, because my emotions are all over the place, we used to argue a lot. So it's hard for them as well, as well as yourself.
What do you think helped you to get through some of those tough emotions, the tough times, even with your husband too? How did you both work together to get through the challenging points?
To be honest, I don't even know how myself I got it through it. To be honest, I really don't. I think because I had a lot of challenges in my childhood as well. I think that's what type of person I am. Maybe got me through it. But honestly, sometimes I don't even. I think back now and think, oh my god, how did I even get through that? I really do. So I wish I could say, oh yeah, I did this, I did that, but I don't even know how I did it myself.
Just pure determination to get to keep going through.
Yeah, because there was times that I would think I would do this. I would think, oh, I could kill myself this way and just end it because I had enough. I did have times like that where I thought about it. I wasn't strong enough to do it, but that's what I thought about at the time. So yeah, I don't know if you know how I got through it sometimes. I really don't.
Did you lean on your husband during those times?
Yeah, so I've been with my husband since 2007. So just not that a few years after I got first diagnosed. So yeah, he's always been there for everything.
I think having a community is so incredibly important, especially for times like that
Yeah,
when you're at such a low point and things look really
yeah,
dark. It's hard to get through.
it is. That's why I talk a lot about my Crohn's on social media, because I've been there where I felt lonely, like I didn't have anyone, and it's all good to having a partner and that's supportive, but they don't really understand because I haven't got the illness. So that's why I talk a lot about it on the social media, so people who are in the same position as me can have someone there to talk to.
Yeah. It is hard to truly understand unless you've been through it. I
Yes.
know that a lot of, even my husband, like, I don't share everything with him because a lot of it, I think
Yeah.
for so many of us, for many years, we hold a lot inside, and we put on the smile and we just find a way to get through the
Yeah.
day, and so they
True.
don't see a lot of it, and it's truly, I think it's hard to comprehend unless you've gone through it.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree.
So let's talk about, before you got your ostomy, do you have any tips or tricks, things that you would do when you would go through the flare-ups? I know you said for a lot of times that your disease it wasn't in remission, but the flares were more mild.
Mild.
So how did
Yeah.
you get through the days like that when you weren't 100% feeling great, but you were able to kind of go through the motions? Do you have any tips or tricks?
Because I had that mindset to like mindset, because I thought if I might flare any time, just try and like live my life as much as I can, do what I can do as much as I want, because I don't know when it would ever flare. You know, Crohn's is so unpredictable. And for me, whenever I flare, it would come on so quick, like within a few weeks, out of nowhere, it would do. So sometimes, so I'll just try and just do as much as I could. But sometimes, for me, I would say, if my advice would be, don't do what I do, because sometimes when I'm not flaring, I do too much and don't realise the stress that it's putting on my body. So I would say, try and live your best life as much as possible, but don't overdo it. I would definitely say that.
Have you learned to balance that over the years, knowing that that was a pattern? Did you ever get to a point where you'd start to recognize, "I'm doing too much"?
No, I'm the worst person for that. Like I would just do too much and just carry on. And I just recently left my work in February because first time I said, look, I need to concentrate on myself and look after myself. So February was the first time I've actually sat down and like took a breather like that and thought about everything. That's why I ended up taking myself to therapy as well, because I had a lot of things that I was going through like I didn't really never address because I was just overdoing everything all the time. But yeah, February was the first time I've just sat down and thought, wow, everything I went through.
How has that affected your life, being able to finally put yourself first, focus on really reflecting on what you've gone through, and then you mentioned
Yeah,
therapy. What's all that done for you over this past year?
I feel like it has been like a healing moment for me, because I've been able to cry properly. I was that type of person for a while that wouldn't really much cry because I thought I don't actually, yeah, I did feel like didn't want to be a burden. Actually, that's why I didn't really cry a lot, and I used to cry maybe by myself. But now I just feel like I don't need to hide them emotions anymore. If I need to cry, I just cry. I've been through a lot.
should not hide the emotions.
Yeah, I was like that for a long time. I feel like all growing up I was like that, and I think it's hard because I grew up in like a family who were very emotionally there, so I was like that as well because of that. So it's been hard to try and like let go and be emotional because it's okay to be.
So are you finding a way now in your life to balance work, stress, emotions? You said you left your job in February. Are you doing anything now, or are you 100% focused on yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, so since February, I've not been doing anything. I'm not going to lie, I've been so lazy. I went on holiday to New York. That was my first holiday I went to since for 12 years. Yeah, because I've been so ill, my Crohn's. That was my first holiday, so that was nice. And to first travel. So I want to start traveling a bit more now because I've not been able to do it for so long. But to be honest, I've not been doing much. I've just been chilling and just taking time for myself and not doing anything for once.
That's good. Your body needs it.
Yeah, it does, really does.
It took you a long time to listen to your body,
Yeah, I know, way too long.
but now you are. That's good, that's good. So let's talk about your Instagram. You're the stoma acceptance queen, you're
Try.
advocating body acceptance. How did that journey get started for this advocacy?
I The reason I started it is because I was in hospital with quite a few patients who had stomas, women my age and older, and they would say to me, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know how I'm going to cope when come out. I can't show this to anyone, so I might see it." They used to make comments like that to me, and then I saw more people like me having stomas showing it on social media, and that's when I decided to start doing it as well. I thought there's so many women out there that have got stomas that are probably ashamed of showing their body because they think it's something to be ashamed of, which is really not. It saved our lives. The position I was in before my stoma was horrible. Going to the toilet 20 times a day, I couldn't really go out anywhere. So that's why I decided to stop to show my stoma and say, look, it's to try and accept it because this is what saved our lives.
What has the response been like? Because you've grown quite a following, showing and
Yeah.
the acceptance, and what's that kind of been like to see that?
Oh, it's been really good. So 2 months ago, I was out with my friend in Tesco's and some woman recognised me. It melted my heart. She was like, "Oh my god!" She goes, "I had a stoma. I was going to get a reversal because I saw your social media. Decided not to get a reversal and just accept my stoma." And even my friend was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to cry." That's what my friend said. I said to her, "That is so sweet." Stuff like that is like what I do it. Why I do it, to see people like looking at me and thinking, "Oh, if she can accept it, I can." It's so nice to see stuff like that. It really is.
Did you have any challenges at first accepting your stoma when you had first gone through the surgery?
I accepted my stoma instantly because obviously I told you before I did want it before, didn't I? But it was hard getting to used to like changing it, having to deal with like leaks, stuff like that, and blockages. That was really hard. So that sort of altered my acceptance of it because of so much issues I was having. But I never like hated my body or wasn't confident in my body because of it. It was just the issues that came with having a stoma.
And then is that what prompted you to want to share about it and really help others have that same acceptance?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because even though I had my partner, I felt alone quite a lot of time because of the issues I've had. And luckily, I've got a stoma nurse, so if I have any issues, I could call her. But I know some people in some other countries they don't have a stoma nurse; they're just left to their own devices. So I think it's having pages like mine. I think it's important because I'm there to answer any questions anyone wants to ask me about my stoma and what life it is like about with it.
How common is that? Have you found that a lot of people have a stoma nurse, or are they lacking a stoma nurse and the support that they need?
So in the UK, everyone normally has access to a stoma nurse. But I've noticed people like some like America, they don't always have access to that because they've got to get insurance, and insurance doesn't cover that. So yeah, I noticed that in America, a lot of people don't have them.
Do you have a lot of people in the US reaching out, asking
Yeah, so
questions and learning about their stoma?
I think it's like equal actually, UK and America. Yeah, and I've got a few people maybe two people I follow it from Canada. Yeah.
Good, good. What's been the most surprising or rewarding thing that you've found from sharing your IBD story online and stoma acceptance, your ostomy acceptance?
I feel like there's the stigma around stomas is getting much better than it used to be. Like you're seeing more people on social media modelling their stomas and stuff like that. So I think acceptance is getting much better because when I first had it in 2014, I hardly saw anyone on social media talking about their stomas. Now I see so many people, men and women.
It is wonderful to see that. Even just talking about IBD in general, social media, I think, has been huge for spreading awareness. And just as you're saying, one person will see another person being proud of a stoma or
Yeah,
sharing information about a disease, and it sparks another person to share it. And so it has really opened up the conversation, which is
yeah, definitely. I agree.
so yay, social media for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when people say to me sometimes, "Oh, they don't like social media, it's negative," I say, but there's the other sides to it as well. Like people like me who are sharing their story and getting it across to the world, or whoever small percentage of people are following me. Even that, if it gets across 20 people, it's something.
It is. It's all about how you use it. It can be a great tool.
Exactly.
We've covered your story, advocacy. What's something that we haven't talked about today that you wanna share with our listeners?
I would say that one thing I feel like needs to just more in a ostomy and IBD community is getting mental health before you get a stoma. I feel like no one really gets any help before they even get a stoma. To be honest, I didn't get any mental health help before. Obviously, I was told 2 days before, and I actually just come to terms with that on my own. I feel that we need more mental health when it comes to IBD and having a stomas. Definitely.
I agree for sure. So if people wanna follow you, watch your journey, follow you online, where can they do that?
So a lot of people following my TikTok, which is Natasha Monk _1, and my Instagram's exactly the same title as well.
What do you like better? Do you like, the TikTok or the Instagram? Have you noticed?
TikTok, because TikTok there's more interaction and people asking more questions. Instagram they don't really ask much questions. TikTok they can ask you questions and you can reply to the questions with a video, which and that gets across to more people.
Very nice. I have not jumped into the world of TikTok yet.
Yeah, I prefer TikTok. I really do because, like I said, there's more people to reach. It's much better.
Before we wrap up, is there any last words of advice that you wanna share with the community?
I think we've covered quite a lot actually. Everything about my journey and that. I think we have, haven't we?
We have, we
I
have.
think so. Yeah.
Well, it has been wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your journey and tips and tricks along the way.
No worries. It was nice that you invited me and so I could tell my story.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. If you love these interviews and want to support the podcast, visit my website at crohnsfitnessfood.com, where you can browse my featured products page to shop the companies I love and support. Make a donation using the Buy Me a Coffee link to send a little love, or grab a copy of my book and IBD story, Crohn's Fitness Food and My Rocky Road to Health. If you have an IBD story that you want to share, send me an email at story@crohnsfitnessfood.com. And always remember, be strong, be grateful, and keep going.